So a large part of World of Warcraft is the search for and acquisition of gold. There are hundreds of gold-making techniques ranging from manipulation of various markets, to grinding, to those little tips and tricks that form every few months. And there are lots of videos on YouTube regarding how to make a certain amount of gold per hour using a particular technique or taking advantage of an oversight in the game's design. In this video, we're going to focus less on those specific techniques, because they're very, very complicated, and more on general pieces of advice for generating and maintaining a healthy amount of gold. Now, to start off, the term "a healthy amount of gold" is very open to personal opinion. I have what I feel to be a very healthy 40,000 gold, but there are a lot of players out there who would suggest that such a number is extremely low. So, rather than going into specifics regarding numbers, let's discuss general topics, so that your gold total is going up, not down. Now, there are two main ways of earning gold in World of Warcraft: taking it from the total pool, or adding to that pool. Let me explain what I mean. Now, every player's gold added together represents the total pool of gold for the game, the amount of coin that every player has combined. This is an utterly gigantic, but finite number. On the other hand, the amount of gold available from the game itself, from dead enemies, from selling things to vendors, from quest rewards, things like that, is infinite. And by earning coin from these sources, you're adding to the total pool. By buying and selling things on the auction house, or getting gold or giving gold to other players, you're shifting coin around in that total pool. Both of these techniques work to varying degrees. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to start thinking more about what you are buying and where your gold is actually going. It's very easy to just not notice where all your gold is going. If you're gearing up a character and you're spending a lot of gold on gear, gems, and enchants, consider finding an alternative, such as making friends with a jewel crafter or enchanter, leaning on your guild, assuming that's permitted, for materials, or working on making the enchants and gems yourself. This also applies to leveling up a new character. Professions can be very easily leveled up with garrisons and plenty of gold, but you can save, and even generate, a good amount of gold by gathering the materials yourself, being self-sufficient, and taking your time. Yes, this takes patience, but it will save you coin. A good way to gather Warlords of Draenor materials is to use several characters and several garrisons. Gathering from the mine, herb garden, and work orders each day will help you build a stockpile of materials for enchants, gems, and leveling other professions. Just as a note here, it's often a very good idea to have multiple characters with multiple different professions. If you can max all of them out and start taking advantage of them by creating gear, gems, enchants, glyphs, all that good stuff, you can make a good amount of gold from the auction house, regardless of your level. The second tip for making gold is to start using the auction house. Now, you can go into a ludicrous amount of detail when playing with the auction house market, since it is basically a giant stock exchange, and if you do want to enter that amount of detail, I would suggest taking a look at the Undermine Journal, which lists loads of statistics for buying and selling every item in the game, server by server. There's a link to this in the description. This is understandably rather baffling. I certainly have never used the auction house to that capacity, but the option is definitely there. And if you play the auction house correctly, you will almost always make a gigantic profit. And a lot of this gold can help you at the start of the next expansion, which, at time of talking, is Legion. You can buy a lot of crafted gear, a lot of bind and equip gear, and you can get a good head start. That said, it can take a lot of time to research and play the auction house, and going into further detail would make this video much longer than it already is. So, let's instead look at general rules for making money from the auction house. Just, a few things to keep in mind. First, try to sell everything. Pieces of gear can be used for transmogrification, so no matter the level, they may be worth a lot of gold. The only exception to this is really low white gear. That cannot be transmogged. You can also sell all of your profession materials that you're not using, that maybe you've outleveled while leveling up a profession. You can sell bags as a tailor, you can sell gear. Just try and sell everything. That's a very good way to get started. Secondly, undercut your competition by 1 copper or silver. When you want to sell something, look it up on the auction house as if you were going to buy it, find the lowest buyout price, which almost always goes at the top unless you've changed how it filters things, and then just deduct 1 copper or silver, and then sell it at that price. The auction house automatically lists auctions by price, like I said, unless you change the filter. So yours will always appear first if you're offering the lowest prices. Thirdly, If you notice someone selling something hugely under the current trend, i.e. if there are 100 auctions for 100, 99 and 98 gold, and then say 5 for like 30 gold, you can buy those auctions and reprice them close to the trend to make some extra gold. This is very, very general stuff, and those are just a few tips when it comes to the auction house. So instead, let's finish off by discussing grinding. It is the most honest, in my opinion, but can be also the most boring way of making gold. No one likes killing the same things over and over and over again for hours. Let's face it, it's boring. My suggestion then is to find a compromise. Find content that you enjoy doing. Personally, I like soloing the Dragon Soul, Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight, Throne of the Four Winds, and Firelands, all of the Cataclysm raids, and looting everything, from all the trash, all the bosses, everything. Then selling that loot to a vendor. It generates coin for me, and also generates coin for the entire player pool, and I occasionally encounter items that I'd like to keep for transmogrification. Win-win. Remember, at the end of the day, this game is about fun, and it's very easy to forget about fun when it comes to gold. Fun does not always equal having a lot of gold. At the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying the game, the amount of gold you have is irrelevant. This video just highlights a few things you can do to open up more possibilities as a result of having more coin on you.